So what is your pho preference? You should really narrow down what you like. There are many pho recipes that are very similar in methods and seasoning, and choosing the right bones and meat for your pho is important. But there's also a crucial step to making a great aromatic broth that most people overlooked.
So when you're picking out the bones to cook for your beef pho, it all kind of depends on what your taste preference is. So if you want like a clear broth, you choose like the knuckles, which doesn't have a lot of the red meat on it, but those knuckle bones takes a long time to extract the beef flavor out. And if you like fatty broth, then get the bones with the marrow in it, the leg bones, and probably cook fatty brisket with it, and even beef ribs. But for me, I like my broth not too fatty. I want my broth to be more beefy, like more bold flavor of beef. So I use beef neck. Also for your steak, your rare steak, if you want your broth to still be clear, use the round eye steak. But to me, round eye steak is probably the cheapest steak and pretty dry. I love using beef flank steak for my pho. So New York steak or ribeye steak, shabu shabu cut is really good too. Beef tenderloin to me is really tender, flavorful, but it's too tender for me. New York steak is so good. For me personally, I don't like New York steak, for grilling, because it's, again, dry. But cutting it thin like this, woo, for pho, is so good. So today we are using the beef knuckle bones and the marrow bones with the beef neck bone. So this is kind of like the alternative to oxtail. This is more lean compared to oxtail. Oxtail has more fat on it. Now these are really quick to cook and tenderize and to extract all the flavor out of it. While these ones take quite a long time to extract the flavor out.
Simmer these first on medium to low heat for at least 3 to 4 hours. Refrain yourself from adding salt. And skim off any foam that floats to the top.
Alright, don't peel these till after you roast them.
This is probably the most crucial part that most people overlooked. Use shallots. I ran out of shallots and actually used a couple white onions, but preferably at least 10 roasted shallots here. This will add so much aromatics and sweetness to your broth. Roasted daikon is optional. And make sure to scrape and wash off all the char.
We'll throw in the rest of the meat. Our smashed burnt ginger, or roasted onions, a few shallots roasted, and our roasted daikon. About 1 tablespoon salt, 3 ounce rock sugar, 2 cans chicken broth. We'll let this simmer for a couple more hours before we add in the aromatics and the fish sauce to taste. So bring this to a rolling boil before lowering it down to medium heat and let it simmer for 2 hours at least. Of course, the longer you do it, the better, but you don't want the neck bone meat to dissolve in the broth.
Smash a few cardamom, cinnamon bark, a dozen star anise, about 1/4 cup of fennel, and 1/4 cup coriander seeds. Toast these until golden.
Besides these aromatics, we're putting in Chinese cilantro. If you have like cilantro roots, it's better. But since we don't want to have that, we are putting in Chinese cilantro with our spice. Put that in there. And then season your broth with MSG and fish sauce to taste. There we go. Golden liquid.
The bones from the broth is called see what? Enjoy it on the side.